Hello everyone, welcome back. This is the video I'm making about my button test sketch. This sketch that we're looking at right now is not my sketch. It's from a YouTube channel called Studio Good, if I'm saying that correctly. I'll show you the page for real quick. So this is that one, Studio Good. And that's the name of the playlist, Ultimate Arduino Patch Class, Arduino code you'll ever need. In my case, unfortunately not. For others, maybe yes. So I found this code. I don't know which one of the videos I found first when I was looking. This one had me going for a while. Unfortunately, it turned out it wasn't the right one for me. But yeah, these three videos are the basis of the code you're going to see. So any questions? Go through these. He explains it in depth, and so I'm not going to repeat that, of course. So just to go through it quickly, first I define my three button pins, tongue twister, button pins. So I have three buttons, and they are linked to the analog ports 2, 3, and 3. The analog pins 2, 3, and 4. Then I have, I'm looking at the Adafruit code. That one's coming in a moment. So no, this one I'm looking at first. So I have, in this case, his code worked dynamically. So what he did was he used define the number of buttons, in this case 3, and then you have an array of buttons, and there you define the pin numbers. And the truths that I mentioned here are for a gating system used in the void loop, where it just keeps stacking the buttons. What it does later on is prevent a value from popping up all and over again. Again, his videos explain that more and probably better than I just did. Here you have the start value for each button and the maximum toggle amount. Again, that will become clear later. And here you can see I was experimenting already and making notes for thoughts. Okay, how am I going to have unique values to parse later on to switch between different functions? Well, it turned out it wasn't this code. But yeah, moving on. So here we are in the void loop. That's already all of the code that there is. So you just have your serial console set up at 9600 baud. And then for each pin that I have, so it just goes through the number of buttons, so that's 3. So it goes through it until it reaches that number of buttons. So in this case 3 times it goes through, and it sets the accompanying pin as an input and also as pull up, meaning it sets the pin high. So then moving on, you have the button pin. So first it goes through and it detects that it's being pressed, and that the pin goes low. So because you in this case I'm putting it to ground, so it goes low, and then that's mentioned in the output. Then trigger 1 is 1, as it is, meaning it's active, it's being pressed. It goes low, but it becomes 1 and it becomes active, just so to say. And every time you press it, it toggles between the amount you said before. In this case, I have just a binary toggle. It toggles between 0 and 1. If I press it, it becomes 1. Press it again, it becomes 0. 1, 0, 1, 0. You'll see that later. And this is the section where when the button is released, it becomes high again, and the button is effectively off. It becomes 0. For the Arduino, it becomes 1. For us, we're not pressing it. It's not doing anything. So to show you that, I'll just upload. Just let that run for a moment. There we go. And I'll include my camera, which has been on the fritz a little bit. If I go and close it usually focuses, but if I then go away a bit, it doesn't want to focus anymore. Well, so if I I'll have to get my serial monitor, of course. If I press the first button, it says button 0, which is the first button, 1, and it's been toggled to 1, and it's been released. So if I do that again, 1, So I'm holding it so it stays active. The toggle amount already goes back to 0 because I've limited it to 1. And if I release it, it's off again. And for the same for the second one. Press it, it becomes 1. So, toggle amount increases to 1, release it 0. Press it again, toggle amount 0, and so on and so forth. Watch Studio Good's videos and he'll explain. So what I was hoping is that I could use the toggle value in my code, because I kind of like the compactness of this and the dynamicness of this section. You know, just define the number of buttons, make sure you have that amount of pins defined, the number of truths, start values, toggle values, and the number of gate values for the toggle system. I was hoping to, for instance, set the start value of this one to 2 and that one to 4. So this one would toggle between 0 and 1. This one would toggle between 2 and 3, and that one would toggle between 4 and 5 with the toggle amount of 2. Fortunately, that did not happen. It's the second one just started, just did not do anything because it just reset itself to 0, and it was outside of the maximum toggle value, and it just did not work. I can show you for a moment, but I don't think it's really important for this one. So I'll just go over to how I ended up fixing it. And this one, it says voorbeelden, it's Dutch for examples. So you just go to examples, and if you have the required libraries installed, again, Adafruit explains this for the NeoPixel and NeoPixel Uber guide, and there is a guide on their website about the Music Maker, which is this VS1053 library. And in this case, I found the button cycler example in their examples folder, and this was exactly what I needed. So this one, it just checks a button, sees if it's high or low. If it's low, it's been pressed, so then it shows a short delay for debouncing. If it's still low, it continues on, and it goes on to the new state value, makes it low, and that's just to go through it and prevent it from bouncing around. It's the same thing as the gating system employed in Studio Good's code. If it's still low, then it increases the show type value, which has been defined here as 0 in this case, with 1, that's a plus plus, and it does that until it reaches 9. When it reaches 9, it triggers this and resets it to 0. So it just keeps going around and around. And then it parses the show type value, which can be a value between 0 and 9, to the start show function, which is this puppy here. So it just goes through. It has the 9 values, as you can see, and if it's 0, it starts this animation. If it's 1, it starts this one. 2, it starts this one, etc., etc. And then all the functions that are mentioned here, so the color wipes and the rainbows, they are all in the function section lower on. So then we can move on to my code, which I ended up making from that, and I just have my 3 buttons defined as on pins A2, A3 and A4, the analog pins. They are perfect for the use. Then I have the variables for the switches, and later on there will be 2 more, either 2 vibration switches or a vibration switch and a reed switch, which is a magnetic switch. And the vibration switch is this one. I have to order a new one because I messed mine up. It's one of these, and you can get them in different ones, fast, medium and slow, so depending. The slow one you have to knock it harder, and the fast one you don't have to knock it so hard to trigger it, which will be used when I smack the disc on my hand to simulate an impact and have the disc do something. So this one is just a little initialization banner, as I explained before. Here I set up my pins, so I have my 3 button pins. I set them as input and I pull them high. So that's input, and then pull up means pull them high. and then a small serial message. Pins have been set up. Yeah, it's just my thing. And then you have that same code from Adafruit again, and in this case I just paste it 3 times with their unique values: new state 1, new state 2, new state 3. The show types, everything has that has a unique value. So what I did is that the first button, it starts out as 0, the other one starts out as 2, then it starts out as 4, like I tried with the other code, but here it works. So this one I limit to 1, so it can toggle between 0 and 1. This one I limit between 2 and 3, with that value, so it cannot go higher than 3. And this one at the moment still only has 1 function, so I just parse the new state value. I just parse the show type 3 value, which has been defined earlier. It doesn't change. I just parse that directly to the button control function. I renamed that from Adafruit's code since it felt better for me. And that's that one here. So you have the first button, 0 and 1, and it's blade deactivated, blade activated, and then you have the second button and the third button. The reason I did keep that here for the third button is just for the fact that this will probably change. The third button will probably get more options, probably more than the other 2 will, for music reasons. I'm talking about music here in this section, but this one will do the blade, this one will do a lockup, and this one will be music control in the end. So that's because I've moved on, of course, from that point. So if I then just switch off the camera because it makes the compilation run slow, and just upload this one to my board. Let's check if I have, yeah, serial monitor is gone, and I'll just open this one. And then you can see my little banner thing. I just like these kind of things. And the only setup thing there is the buttons right now, so that's the only thing you're seeing right now. So if I then press, I'll just take the camera back, up, and if I press the first button, blade activated, blade deactivated, music playing, music paused, next on. So that's how I set it up at that time. So as you can see, I have my 3 buttons, but they all go to 1 function, which is what I wanted at the beginning. And with some messing around and unfortunately wasting some time on the other code, I did get there. So that's the button cycle code, and probably the longer video, one of the longer videos I'll need, except for the animation video, because there was some history behind this, and I like to make sure that these videos give you more than just reading the code and understanding how I got to this point. So I hope this has been enjoyable for you, and I hope you learned something from it. If there are any questions, of course, ask them in the comment section below, and have a good one. Bye bye.